What's up, WWE Champions Universe? This is Lee from Champions Chat, and today we're doing something a little fun. Back in the day, I used to keep the screenshots of my roster just from like various points in time. So this is like the start of my roster in time series, and we're going to start all the way back to when my roster was 234K. Oh yeah. That was a great roster. So you can see right away on this image here, my best superstar was Paige. Always supporting the women right from the beginning, right? Paige was my killer superstar. Pretty much my only really good female, because you can see right there that Wendy's in the mix, Tech Lita's in the mix. Even back then, they weren't getting the job done. A couple things otherwise on here. You see 24 health packs. Do you remember those days when that was a good amount of health packs, right? And now that wouldn't even touch your superstars. So Paige is at the top of my roster. And then right next to Paige is Diamond Dallas Page. Oh, yeah. Tech DDP was my go-to guy for a while. He carried me on a lot of stuff. I used him way longer than I should have. And then right next to that, you see Zombie AJ Styles. I've talked on the podcast many times. Zombie AJ Styles was my go-to guy for like a year, maybe more than that. Yeah, 3-star gold. Paige and Sting and Ted DiBiase there, my only 4 stars, I think, on my roster. We'll see in a minute, right? But yeah, look at that Zombie AJ Styles as my big battle star, right? Oh, goodness. Wendy was rising up right next at 3-star gold. Sting, 4-star bronze. Quick story, but Sting was the very first 4-star character I had. There was an event where if you grinded, and I mean all day grind, you got that 4-star icon Sting. And I don't know why I remember this or why I've now said it twice, because I also said it on one of the episodes of the podcast. But I remember, like, I got into the bathtub and I'm like, I'm going to do a short soak to my wife, right? And then I started the grind and like 4.5 hours passed by. That's how important that Sting was right there. Goldberg, I was building him up because Goldberg is one of my favorites. Also, you see very WCW heavy right at the top of my OG roster. Shinsuke Striker was one of my newer guys. I had maxed him out. I was working on that Trick Ric Flair. Like I said, had gotten the $1 Million Man. He was my second 4-star, if Paige wasn't. One of the two of them was my second. Bray, the Striker Bray that is now Striker Woods, the unfortunate reskin that they did, not because Woods is bad, but you know, they let Bray go during the pandemic and then brought him back, and now that he's passed, it's like, oh, bring back that Bray. George the Animal was in there. Chris Jericho, that's the list, right? I think that's the list version of him. If you look at my roster currently, if you saw my roster reveal video, he's not much farther than that. I stopped using Chris Jericho like the day I got him. Iron Sheik, shout out to our buddy Iron Sheik 84, but Sheiky was right up there on the top of my roster as well. And then you kind of go down from there, right? You see my OG Zombie KO. He was my other zombie in the mix. You see 2 Bret Harts at 3-star bronze. Oh, yeah, that's right. Tech Lita, you got Showboat Becky, also pretty much in the same place she is there. Although now my current quest, if you're watching my Talent Up videos, is to get rid of all 3 stars from my character except Dolph Ziggler, who you won't see on here because it took me forever to get Acrobat Dolph Ziggler. OG Roman, Matt Hardy. I know some of you guys are jealous about that Matt Hardy right there. I remember doing a feud when I got Matt Hardy to 10K and telling my faction, like, who is going to stop a 10K Matt Hardy, right? That's a long time ago at this point. Daniel Bryan rose up my roster there. And then you start to see the 2 stars, right? 2-star gold Booker and Gold Dust side by side. 2-star Braun Strowman, 2-star Diamond Dallas Page Showboat, who also really didn't get much love from that point forward. Shane McMahon. Do you remember when Shane McMahon was a joke card? And then when straps came out for the first time, and all of a sudden he became, for this brief moment in history, really powerful, right? Oh, crazy stuff. 2-star Andre that I paid $10 for to get Showboat Andre, also not great. And then you see Demon Balor, Edge, and some of these other guys in the mix here as well. Then you get towards the bottom of my roster. You got Nia Jax, also stayed near the bottom there. You've got Tech. Dean Ambrose, almost called him John Moxley. Dean Ambrose, still one of the few Dean Ambrose I have. I never got the purple one at all. I do have the red one. Brutus Beefcake, 2-star gold. And then you see 1-star Miz. Rusty talks a lot on the podcast about how back in the day, The Miz in the 3-star era was the best. Apparently, I needed this kind of content that Champions Chat puts out, because I didn't know that The Miz was the best, right? And then you've got Titus, and you've got my lowest on my roster at the time, Acrobat Darren Young, 1-star gold, 300 talent. And at that time, there were only 14 superstars available in the loot that I didn't have. How crazy is that? Do you remember when the game looked like this? Shout out in the comments section if you remember this era of the game. Tell me what your roster was like back then, and let's just have some fun, because this was years ago, which means we've all been playing this thing for years and loving it. All right, I'll see you on the next roster flashback.